Hello and welcome to our program where each week we'll bring you a series of interviews with people educating and inspiring in the hot topics of health, wellbeing and lifestyle. For our first guest today we have Trudy Pavlovsky, the Queen of Shadow Values, who will be talking to us today about embracing our shadow values. Welcome Trudy.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today, Linda.
What are shadow values for our viewers out there?
Viewers might be able to identify general normal values. So the traditional values of trust and love and respect, those nice values that you're totally happy to share with the world because they feel good. I work with the values on the flip side, which are the shadow values. So these are values that growing up, something's happened, we've been taught to be ashamed of wanting this value, and I illuminate those values. We bring them into the light because when you harness the power of the shadow values, what happens, you use these values to motivate you with your goals, and your life just can take off in ways that never before thought possible. So there's 10, and today obviously we don't have time to go through 10 of them. So I really wanted to share 2 of them today. So I wanted to talk about attention and validation, because when I work with people with these values and they embody it and they get it, their life really does start to transform. So I'll talk to you about attention first, because here we are on TV, like center of attention. So we've embodied this value, right? We feel good about getting attention. But I want to ask the viewers, how many of you out there secretly crave attention, to be seen, to be recognized, but you don't take the action to go out and do it? Especially if you're in business or you're wanting to change your life somehow, get a promotion, receiving attention when it feels good allows you to get what you really want. And then with validation, this is a really interesting one, because quite often when we're growing up and we're like little kids, we're always looking for approval from a parent or a teacher or an older sibling. But if we don't get that approval, we feel bad, and then we start looking for it further and further afield, and we lose trust in our own ability to make decisions for ourselves and to be okay going after what we want. So when we learn to invalidate ourselves internally and stop asking 20 people around us if what we want to do is okay, we just feel better. We start taking action from a place that's so much more inspired. And if we're in business or if we're looking to create something in our life, we get the momentum because we're not constantly having to check in with somebody else.
Trudy, we were talking off camera about imposter syndrome. So could you explain to our viewers something a bit more about imposter syndrome and what it is for them?
Imposter syndrome, which is a person's inability to believe in their own results, no matter how much they've studied, how much effort they've put in, no matter how many times people say good job. That ties in so closely with shadow values and downplayed their results. Chances are, if you're doing that and saying that to yourself, you've got imposter syndrome. And so what happens when you start embodying your shadow values, that little imposter syndrome voice, it just gets quieter and quieter and quieter in your mind, because your shadow values, when you can be comfortable with attention, can validate yourself, and some of the other ones, take control of your own life, honor your own ambitions, own your own superiority, be comfortable receiving money. When you build up all of those, the imposter syndrome stops, because you get comfortable being recognized for who you are. Because it goes back to our beliefs around what we have around who we are, how we show up, what we want to create in the life, and what we think is possible. And beliefs form in childhood, and they're based purely on our experiences, so they're very unique for everyone. And when you can look at your beliefs and see how they've formed patterns growing up and how they shape your life, then you can see these are my values, and they all tie together in a nice little bow. But if you want to start transforming these things, it's like, have a look at where you're putting the brakes on in your life, where you're saying, I can't possibly do that, or I can't receive that, or I'm not worthy. Because when you look at those patterns and those thoughts that you have in your head, that's when you can start creating the change. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you chip away at every day. And you would start with the value of attention. And it's like, where do I not feel comfortable receiving attention? And one of the ladies I worked with, she didn't feel comfortable going out in a pretty dress and wearing lipstick. So she decided one day, because she'd received negative attention in the past, she decided that she was better than the past, and she wanted to reinvent the story that she was telling herself. So she got up one morning, she put on the nice dress, did her lipstick, did up her hair, and she walked down the street. And she'd made the decision when she was walking down the street to hold herself high, to smile at people, and be comfortable in that moment.
So with that education that you've received in your own life about imposter syndrome, about shadow values, and how all of these things play out for you, what really inspired you to look further into your own life and how that existed there?
Yeah. I didn't have exactly a happy life, and there were times when I didn't want to be here anymore. And I got to a point in my life where I really had to make the decision, how do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be seen in this world? And what kind of legacy do I want to leave? And that took me on a journey of learning about life coaching, neurolinguistic programming, energy work. I've got so many qualifications, it's ridiculous. But it started with that decision to go, I want more. I deserve more. I'm worthy of more. I gave myself permission to be the person that I always knew I was here to be. In spite of the pain and the trauma and the disappointments, I decided to look beyond that and go, I'm here for so much more. And embracing all of those values, and it just changed everything. And so that's why I'm here to share that work.
And also, as a last takeaway for the audience, what would you say to them as a suggestion for them to take away from today?
One of the biggest lessons I learnt in life was that permission, it all starts with you. Now, I could have decided to stay miserable, but I decided I wanted more. So I gave myself permission, and then I looked at the decisions that I was making, and I decided to make different decisions. And from those decisions came smart choices. So for me, it's permission, decisions, choices.
Thank you, Trudy. And for more information about embracing your shadow values, please go to our website. Welcome back, and our next guest is Helen Mack, back with us in the series of optimising outcomes, and today she's talking about creating clarity. So clarity, Helen, that's a really interesting one. Can you tell us a bit more about that? I'm sure everybody would love to have clarity in life.
It's difficult, isn't it, Linda? I think sometimes we all feel like we're wandering around in a haze trying to work out where we're going to end up. So creating clarity is obviously a key piece of optimising outcomes. And I love the clarity piece because it has such power. There's real power in getting clear about your goals, your expectations of yourself and others, and your communication of those expectations to all of the people involved. So the power of clarity is that it helps us communicate to others what we are planning to do, how we're going to do it, and including how they can support us. Remember our What's Possible conversation from session 1. And so it enables everybody who's involved to kind of get on board, whether that's you and your family, your business, your community, or some not-for-profit organisation or charity that you're involved in, whatever part of your life that you want to get optimised outcomes from, getting clear about it is part of a very critical part of the process.
So how would they go about, can you explain a bit more about clarity and how we see things?
Beautiful. So I think there's 4 layers or 4 ways in which we go through to get to a position of clarity. The first is muddy. So this is literally when you're stuck, like if you're trying to walk through a river and your boots are stuck. You might end up leaving your boots behind, or you're certainly going to end up in a mess. So muddy is a stage where you think you know where you want to go, but you're kind of stuck where you are now. And the only way to get unstuck is to make some kind of massive movement. So if you're stuck in mud, you can't just kind of wriggle forward. You've really got to push yourself out. Now, the bad news for people is that sometimes that means some kind of disagreement, some kind of blow up, because something big has to shift to get out of the mud. The second step is cloudy. So this is like trying to swim in a river where there's so much stuff in the water, so many particles in the water that you can't see where you're going. You're likely to bump into things, accidents can happen. So that the point around going from muddy to cloudy is we need to wash that through and make sure that we're focusing on the tiny points of clarity that we've got and bring those together so that we can push away the obstacles, the dirt, the stuff that's hanging around. Then we move to the third stage, which is clear. And clear sounds like it's the end of the journey, but it's the start of the clarity piece. So clear is, I now know where I am, I know where I'm going, and I can ask all of those what's possible questions that we talked about in the first session, as well as what's the best possible outcome for me now. So clear is great, but then there's one more step. If we can get to crystal, then we're really cooking. So there's 2 benefits about being crystal clear about something. And you know a lot about this, Linda, so I know I'm right in your space. With 2 elements of crystal. If you can get to crystal clear, then it creates a resonance. It creates an energy that attracts into your world the support that you need, the help that you need, and things just become much easier. And the second thing about crystal clear is that if you shine a light through crystal, it sparkles into a million different colours, you know, all of the rainbows sort of thing. And so that means you have more options and more colour, more brightness in the ability to achieve your goal. So they're the 4 steps. We need to identify where we are and then take action to get us to the next level up, ideally aiming for that crystal clear at the top.
So that brings up a lot of questions for people, doesn't it? How do I get clear? How do I do that?
Yeah. So I think that there's 6 questions that we need to ask ourselves, and these are not new. Everyone's asked these questions in various circumstances before, but if you've got the clarity lens looking at these questions, we need to ask what I call the 5 W's and the H. So why, what, when, where, who, how.
Helen, can you tell us a little bit more about the power of those questions?
Excellent question, Linda. So the thing about those questions is that regardless of your goal, if you get everyone involved in that goal to answer all of those questions, then you'll have people enrolled in the process and they'll know how to support you or what their part of it is. So let's go through a couple of different examples. So the first question that you need to ask yourself or others involved is why? So this is actually the purpose question, which can actually be a very deep, long conversation about the purpose of why am I doing this. But at a lighter level, it's simply, why is this important to me now? Why do I want to take this on? Why is it going to be important to me in my life or in the life of the other people in my world? So the why question for yourself and for others is the important pivotal starting point. So then we go, why, what? What am I going to do? What is the outcome that I'm after? And what will be the benefit to myself or to whoever else in my life that it involves? So if it's a health goal, it might just be me, but the what might have a long-term ramification or benefit to my family or my community, etc. So why, what, when? So when is an important one in terms of the timeline. Is it urgent, has to be done now, rally people around and get going? Or is it something that's a longer term plan, which gives other people time to become involved, time to get educated, time to start learning how they're going to be part of this process? So the when is around timeline and urgency. So we've got what, why, what, when. The next one is who, which is who am I going to need on my team? So if you remember my story from the first session around my late husband's illness, the challenge of that was who do we need to get involved? And so we got friends and family at various levels. We had different medical teams. It was really about bringing a team around us to take us together on this journey. So we needed to know the who's. And then you need to enroll those people, engage them, make sure that they're as excited and interested in your goal as you are. Those great supporters can make a big difference to whether you achieve that or not. Then we have where, which is it all going to happen where I am now? Does it mean me having to move? And there's been some very interesting moves in people's businesses and lives in recent times. And so you can set a goal for here, or you can set a goal for over there. I'm going to do this where. I'm going to once I've moved over there, I'm going to be able to do this in this new location. Or is it a transitory thing? So my where at the moment is all about working from anywhere. I want to make sure in my coaching that I can reach my people wherever I am. And so that means I can live my lifestyle while still making a difference to individuals. So my where at the moment is anywhere in the world, as long as I've got internet coverage. And then the final step is how. And the how is all about what processes am I going to use? What steps am I going to take? How do I do this thing? Do I do it alone? Do I do it within a group, in a company, in a community? How do I want to make this happen? And the most important first step of that is what's the best first step to get the best possible outcome?
Thank you, Helen. And for more about Helen Mack, we'll be back next time in the third in the series about optimising outcomes, and it's maximising our momentum. In the meantime, please go to her webpage and on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au for more information. And we'll see you after the break with another guest in the series. Welcome back, and next we have Barbara Baldock, who's a community volunteer. Today she's talking to us about volunteering and how positive that is for the volunteers. Welcome, Barb.
Hello.
And I know that you're a grandmother of 21 and a great-grandmother of 3. What are your secrets for staying so young and energetic?
Well, I think what it is, that I love people. From a little girl, I always loved people. My mother always taught me, Barbara, take food and give it to the poor people. My mother was a great cook. So a lot of people say to me, Barbara, you're always cooking. Well, that's where I got it from. I got it from my mother. And I just love going out there today, helping people, making them feel happy, because I've got so much energy in my life, and I have a big secret about that. And the more I give out, the younger I feel, and I think that is a big secret in people's life. I do a lot of events for charity, and I just love it. And people say to me, Barbara, you must get tired. But I don't get tired, because the more I'm in touch with people, the happier and the more energy I seem to have. I'm wanting to learn, and that's another big thing in life. To learn, the more you learn, the younger it keeps you. I couldn't work a mobile phone many years ago, and I got to learn that, and then I went and did my computer course. And I'm quite proud of myself, because people at my age, they say, oh, I can't do that. I could never do that. Never say you can never ever do anything. You can do anything you want to do. And they are some of my secrets in my life. I have a lot stored up there also. I love music. I play the piano, and I've played classical music, and I've played modern music, and I also used to dance when I was younger. I wasn't a very good dancer, but I just love going out there and mixing with people. You can only ring me up. I have 3 phones at home, and I put them along the bench, and some days they'll all go together, and I'll put that phone on and people can have a conversation because I'm such a busy person. I love cooking, and when a person comes home from hospital and they haven't got anybody there, people don't realise that these poor people haven't got a family, and I'll go round with a dinner for them, and it just makes them light up. But not only makes them light up, it makes me feel so much better going home and thinking how blessed I am that I have the energy at this age of my life. I've got a lot of thanks to God.
So Barb, what would be your big takeaway for our viewers today?
To just wake up, thank God you're alive, and get your shoes on and go out there in the community to help other people and make other people happy. And that's my big secret of staying young.
Oh, fantastic. And for more information on Barb and her secrets for staying so young and energetic, please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. For now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you next week here on Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle for more interviews with amazing people sharing their positivity and inspiration.